I didn't want to go to a private school. I hated, like, I'm like, private school, like, people make fun of you for going to the private school. So I did everything in my possible ability to get kicked out. So, I had the most detentions, most demerits. I don't know, I think I set like a record or something. And a lot of people don't know I got kicked out my freshman year. I was accepted back into Bishop McNamara, and then my sophomore year, Rod Chapman, he used to tell me, like, look, dude, you take this serious. I mean, you got like a lot of ability. You can get, like, 4 rides to go to college. Well, that process is very hectic. My first offer was from NC State. And I never forget when I got my first offer. I felt like I did something, good in the world, and I broke down, I cried, I called my mother. I was like, Mom, I got a full ride to go to NC State. She's like, what's NC State? I was like, a big Division I school, I bust out crying. She started crying and stuff. I was like, oh, this is lit. Long story short, I really was confused in my whole process because every coach that offered me literally got fired. Iowa at the time was the only school who, like, the coach has been there for like 20 years and no switch up. So every coach that offered me, they was replaced at another school. So I didn't know, like, new coaches. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just stick with my decision and go from there. So I was really depressed. It was like one of the most depressed times of my life. I felt like my junior year was my year. Going to the end of my junior year, my sister died, so it built even more. Like, what I'm saying? It was just like a bad year for me, from injuries to, not getting the playtime I wanted, to my sister dying, what I'm saying? So then when my sister died, it was just like one of those, life-changing events to, like, you're like, all right, what you gonna do? Like, what I'm saying? Like, this your senior year, you here, what I'm saying? At least do something for your sister, like, what I'm saying, make stuff count. And everybody's dealing with all these emotions and they just building up and you don't have nobody to talk to, what I'm saying? And one day this guy disrespected me and, I jumped out there and, I dealt with it in a way in which I shouldn't. But at the time I felt like that's where he kind of harassed the girl I was with at the time, said something very, demeaning and vulgar, and from where we from, people go to the extreme to deal with you. I took matters in my own hand and I got arrested.
Welcome to Talks with Tay. I'm Taylor Brown here with Nico Law.
Yeah.
Nico Law, we went to high school together. We went to Bishop McNamara. Nico Law's from Washington, D.C. Big time football player, play at Iowa, play at Towson University. And now, he's in LA. He's a trainer. He's out here training celebrities. He's made a name for himself, and he's doing a lot of great things. He's more than an athlete. He's an entrepreneur, and I'm just honored to have him on the show. So, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me on your show, T.
So, first question. For people who may not know who you are, who are you? Where are you from, and how'd you get started playing football?
Hi, my name is Nico Law. I'm from Washington, D.C., born in D.C., raised in Maryland. I used to live out Clinton, Maryland, out Prince George County. I was a late bloomer. I started football real late. I would say my first year starting football was 8th grade, but my parents was always busy, so I missed all the games and barely went to the practices. So I really consider my first year of football my freshman year at high school. I always wanted to play football. I used to be the biggest Ravens fan ever, and I used to idolize Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. So that's how that happened. My freshman year, I rode the bench, but I always knew I had it in me. I was always playing like throwback tackle in the yard, killing people. And then as things progress, my coach used to tell me like, if I took football serious, I can go very far with it. I had a coach named Rod Chapp. At the time, I was always getting into trouble. My freshman year, I had like I didn't want to go to a private school. I hated I'm like private school, people make fun of you for going to the private school. So I did everything in my possible ability to get kicked out. So, I had the most detentions, most what you call it, demerits?
Yeah, demerits.
Most demerits. I don't know. I think I set like a record or something. And a lot of people don't know I got kicked out my freshman year. I had terrible grades, like 1 point something. And then I was accepted back into Bishop McNamara.
Okay.
And then, my sophomore year, Rod Chapman, he used to tell me like, look, dude, you take this serious. I mean, you got like a lot of ability. You can get like, full rides to go to college.
Right.
And me, I didn't know nothing about college. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't thinking about college. I wasn't, really thinking that far into the future. And then when I did talk to my mother, she's like, you got to figure out how you're going to pay for college, So I began taking football very serious. And, that same year I became a 3.0 student and the superstar, like the JV team.
Right.
I played linebacker, safety, receiver, kick returner, played a lot of different positions. I was just like physically way more inclined than most people. I was just very fast. I was just super aggressive. I was just fearless.
Right.
And the rest was history.
So I remember in high school, it was like our junior year going to senior year, and we were trying to like figure out what schools we wanted to go to. So I remember he was like, man, I don't know, like I'm trying to decide. So, talk about that process when you were going, like trying to pick schools.
Well, that process is very hectic. My first offer was from NC State.
Okay.
And, I'll never forget when I got my first offer. I felt like I did something, good in the world. And I broke down, I cried, I called my mother. I was like, Mom, I got a full ride to go to NC State. She's like, what's NC State? I was like, a big Division I school, I bust out crying. She started crying and stuff. I was like, oh, this is lit.
Yeah.
And then after that, it became overwhelming. Once you get your first offer, then you go 2, 3, 4, 5. Then before you know it, I'm at like 30 offers. And, when you're a young kid, you're like 15, 16, getting all this attention.
Yeah.
You really don't know how to act. And then, I didn't have no guidance in my family like a lot of athletes. I didn't have like a lot of people I can like call. Like, look, Unc, where would you go? What would you do? I was looking for the answers from everyone else, but the answer was inside me. Like people, when you was making your decision, people like, so what school you want to go to? You're like, I don't know,
Right.
I remember Coach Bryce Bevel, that's one of my favorite high school coaches. He used to tell me, he was like, when you make your college decision, go off what's important to you. So make a list, 5 things that's important to you. He said one of his biggest things that was important was his living space, how he was living, when he was at college. So that's why he went to Syracuse. So me, I was like, okay, cool. My number 1 school, I always wanted to go to Miami, but it didn't happen. I always wanted to go to University of Miami. And I kind of broke down my schools off of success, tradition, and I guess like the network of the school. But long story short, I really was confused in my whole process because every coach that offered me literally got fired. So I had like, let's say I had 30 offers. It was a huge transition phase in the college world. And like, I was influenced to go to University of Iowa because of Marcus Coker. Marcus Coker was a superstar running back at the time, on top of the world, top 5 running backs and stuff like that. And I went to go shadow him at the University of Iowa, and it was one of the most craziest experiences in my life. And when I seen him, I was like, oh yeah, I want to live like that, you know what I'm saying? But then after that, I committed on spot. I didn't take all my officials like I should have. I did a whole trip around the world with my mother. So me, my mom, and my stepfather at the time, we literally took a whole trip from the East Coast and drove down the coast and visited almost every school, like almost every school, and met a lot of people on the way. But like I said, as far as the process, it was very foggy and confusing for me because, you know, a guy saying, "Hey, we want you to be a superstar at our school," then he's fired and then he goes somewhere else, and you're like, "Okay, cool." So originally I was going to decommit and go back to Maryland because I wanted to be the hometown hero and the hometown star, you know, to put the city on. But James Franklin ended up leaving and going to I think Vanderbilt at that time. So I was confused, and Iowa at the time was the only school who, like, the coach has been there for like 20 years and no switch up. So every coach that offered me, they was replaced at another school. So I didn't know like new coaches. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just stick with my decision and, you know, go from there. And that was a whole journey itself.
All right, so, you know, once you got to Iowa, you know, you were playing as a freshman. Like, you were getting good minutes. Like, you weren't like, you know, like an average freshman. Like, you were out there. And then, you know, so talk about, you know, your freshman year, and then, you know, what happened, you know, the incident, you know, we got arrested.
Okay, so freshman year, I had a chip on my shoulder. You know, my senior year, we didn't have like I didn't go off in a very good, you know, farewell from high school. I was rated like, I think like 23 in the nation at my position, and, you know, I wanted to prove that to the people that, you know, I wasn't like some, you know, fluke. So I wanted to, you know, run it up my freshman year. Freshman year, we had a lot of seniors on the team, and when I came in, everybody was way more physically enhanced than me and mentally equipped. So you're talking about a guy that's like 17, 18 years old, who just started playing football, who don't really have the knowledge of a person whose father may be the NFL head coach. So most of the guys that were on my team had a lot of ties to the NFL as far as general managers, head coaches and stuff, and they were way more mentally prepared than I was, especially coming from Bishop McNamara. Bishop McNamara to me was a basketball school, and, you know, we started to change that culture when it comes to football pretty late. But the thing I always had was hard work ethic and charisma and just passion. I always did everything with passion. So my freshman year, I was one of the few guys who played. I played on all special teams, and, you know, had you know, I did special teams. I played a couple of games and stuff of that sort, but it was just to get my feet wet. My sophomore year came. My sophomore year, I knew I was going to start. Like, you know, in my head, I'm like, you know, if I don't start, it's my fault. So sophomore year, I think I had my first start against Indiana. My first start against Indiana playing, you know, I think the star of their team at the time was like Shane Wynn. And that game gave me the confidence in the world. I was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be on these, you know, this playing field. I know, like, I have the ability, I have the talent, you know, because like I said, I feel like I was way more faster than most athletes, and I was stronger, and I just played with a lot of aggression. I just had to work more so on my mental capability. My sophomore year, we didn't really do too good. So my junior year, I told myself, I said, look, I'm gonna be the, you know, best in the nation, and I'm going to, you know, prepare to, you know, become a draft pick my junior year. Going into my junior year, my sister died. It caused a lot of, you know, emotional damage in my life, you know, going through depression, all types of stuff. So my sister died in a car accident. I also was, going into my junior year, actually, I was preparing myself to be one of the best in the nation. So like the whole off season, all I did is watch film. I did a lot of yoga because I was real stiff at the time from doing a lot of Olympic lifts. So Iowa, we did like a lot of Olympic, like heavy lifting, you know. I went there and I was lean, and then by the time my junior year I came, like, I was all stocky and like big and like super stiff.
Right.
And I started doing a lot of yogas and Pilates and stuff like that to loosen up. And I was literally just in the film room every day looking at the best athletes in the nation, like studying the best safeties, just trying to understand the difference from lineman standpoint, the linebackers, safeties, corners, knowing everybody's responsibility so I can do mine and be the best at my position. Because when you're a safety, you're kind of like a quarterback. You're like the general of the defense. So you got to know what you got to do so you can put people in position, or you got to know how to, if this person's wrong, you got to learn how to adjust because you're like the last of defense. So if you're not confident out there, you're like a weak link on the team. My junior year, I was competing for the starting job. Everything was good, man. Everything was in my favor. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the job. They had me playing linebacker, safety, all these, different types of positions, rover, linebacker / end type stuff. At the time, I was like 200 and I was 205, but I looked probably like I was 220. I was hitting all my peaks in the weight room, lifting, and I was just really focused and locked in. When it came to competing, I was number 1 on the depth chart, and I don't want to say no names, but it was a guy in there who I was competing against, and I feel like I outworked him. He ended up quitting the team, going home, and then eventually I got injured. So I struggled with a lot of injuries throughout my career, from shoulder injuries and hamstring injuries. Like, one of the injuries I struggled with the most was my shoulder. I played my whole career with a broken shoulder. Nobody really knows that. When you're in college, anytime you have some type of injury, they want to, they don't want to spend that money to get you to have surgery. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna dope you up on drugs. So I was always getting cortisone shots and stuff of that sort. And I literally played my whole time in Iowa, I played with a broken shoulder. I used to complain to the coaching staff and the trainers, like, look, dude, like, I'm waking up, like, what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I'm waking up, it's a sharp pain going down my arm, like, this isn't normal. Oh, you know what, you just got a bursa sample, you just got inflammation in your joints, man. We'll just give you some drugs, you'll be all right, just keep doing treatment. So that's what I did. You're a young person, you don't know no better, you're gonna listen to what they say. They are the experts, so you're gonna listen to them because you think they have, the best of your interests, but, it's a whole, business, so, long story short, time went on, I got injured, right before spring ball, I got injured. I tore my hamstring. I never forget, I tore my hamstring. I was like the leading, I was with the ones. And I was so, depressed. I'm like, dang, I worked all the way up to here. Now I tore my hamstring. I never forget, like, when I tore my hamstring, I was coming down, like, I think I was coming down on a blitz, and I hit somebody, and my hamstring just popped, and I heard the snap, and I already knew, what time it was. Like, I was like, okay, this is bad. And I remember standing up, and it was like a very sharp pain going in my hamstring. So in my head, as an athlete, like, okay, I'll just sit out for a couple of days, and really them couple of days turned until a couple of months. And the guy who quit the team, he ended up coming back onto the team and started in my exact position. I was really, upset at the time. It's really a lot of politics in sports that a lot of people don't know about, man. It's really about who you know or who has connections with who. A lot of people just kind of see, oh, that guy's playing. Okay, well, honestly, majority of people that's on the team, you really get Division I offer, for the most part, you're a great athlete. You know what I'm saying? You're not just out there by chance. So if Nico Law goes down, somebody behind him can play as well. If the person go down behind Nico Law, somebody behind him can play. All these guys are like top recruit, in the world or in the nation, or the best in their state. So I was fighting a whole lot of, I was fighting to get back, doing a lot of recovery, a lot of therapy, ice baths, stretching, all types of stuff, PRP, stem, what do you call it, stems?
Yeah,
Yeah, stem, ice and stem, that, the whole ice and stem, doing a lot of recovery, pool recovery, workouts. And I was really, at the time, I was really frustrated. I'm like, dang, this guy that's starting right now, he quit the team, and now he's like, with the ones. And that really did make me feel some type of way. But to me, where we from and what I was taught, my mom always told me just work hard. Whatever you get, whatever you want in life, just work hard. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just work hard, get my spot. So I continued to work hard. I was grinding. When summer camp came, when summertime came, like I missed all the spring ball because of my injury. I barely did like the winter workouts, and then when it came to the summer workouts, that camp right before the season, I literally just got cleared. Like I literally just got cleared to practice. He was with the ones, and I was like, man, I gotta give it all I got. You know what I'm saying? I gotta give it all I got, because you had that sense of pride, man, when you playing on TV or you playing college, because you're like, I got support for back home. I got a family that's watching me. I got my little brother that's watching me, sister, all types of stuff. And I think the decision was made like right before the first game. My coach told me, hey, it's a 50-50. This person has been here all this time and you haven't. We don't know how long, you're gonna be able to sustain, blah, blah, blah. And they said I was gonna go to first half, he's gonna go second half, vice versa. Stuff ain't happening how it's supposed to happen. And long story short, I ended up riding the bench. And it was just a blower to me, not just like my ego, but more so like, dang, I gave it all I got. You know what I'm saying? I really blood, sweat, and tears. Like I was out here, not to compare myself to anybody else, but it's like, you guys aren't putting in as much work as I was putting. You know what I'm saying? I'm going the extra mile because, especially when you go to a foreign place, you like, I ain't come out to Iowa for nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could be at home. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you wanna make your presence known. You want people to feel you. So that was pretty hard for me. My first game, didn't get no play time. Second game, I'm talking to the coach, they're like, hey, we about to put you in, all these different packages. Third, fourth game, now it's the fifth game, now you kind of like canceled out. As an athlete, you like, all right, bro, F this, you know what I'm saying,
So after that, what year, was that your junior year?
My whole junior year, I basically, played on special teams, I didn't get as much play time as I wanted. I was kind of like a role player. So I was really depressed. It was like one of the most depressed times of my life. But, I felt like my junior year was my year. Going to the end of my junior year, my sister died, so it built even more. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like a bad year for me, from injuries to, not getting the play time I wanted, to my sister dying, you know what I'm saying? So then when my sister died, it was just like one of those, life-changing events to like, you're like, all right, what you gonna do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this your senior year, you here, you know what I'm saying? At least do something for your sister, like, you know what I'm saying? Make stuff count. So I was going through like a lot of turmoil mentally and emotionally, and it was a situation on the team where, as far as leadership, I was having conflict with another guy on the team, and we were just in he was the icing on the top. You're a young guy, and everybody's dealing with all these emotions, and they just building up, and you don't have nobody to talk to. You know what I'm saying? And one day this guy disrespected me, and I jumped out there, and I dealt with it in a way in which I shouldn't. But at the time, I felt like that's where he kind of harassed the girl I was with at the time, said something very, demeaning and vulgar, and from where we from, people go to the extreme to deal with you. I took matters in my own hand, and I got arrested. And at the time, I was kind of like embarrassed. I got arrested, and I broke my hand. A lot of people don't know about it. Like when I got in a fight, I broke my hand. So now I'm like, dang, all this stuff happened. I reacted off emotions and stuff. And disrespect. You just don't disrespect people, like point blank period. But I'm like, now it's impeding my performance. I can't even perform right. My whole hand is broke. Like these are the scars right here. I broke my hand. And so when I got arrested, I never forget, they was trying to give me a disorderly conduct. I'm like, okay, cool. Disorderly conduct, little slap on the wrist, thank God. And then the guy who I got in a fight with at that time was trying to press charges against me. So now I'm like, I'm nicked, I'm like.
Like a lot of Americans, I came out of college with a lot of debt. It's very hard for you to break out into the IT profession, and in particular in the cyber profession. I couldn't find the relative experience, let alone a company that would take a chance on me just with the limited knowledge and background that I had. Soder Cyber was developed to do both, to not only just give our students the ability to learn a new career, be it if they're just coming right out of college, if they're changing professions, or if they're just trying to make a new way for themselves. We're expecting to have over 3.5 million jobs open in the cyber profession. We offer job placement. Job placement is important. Once you've gone through these different professional certification courses, along with any other types of training, what happens at the end? Soder Cyber is there to give the relative book experience and also some relative and hands-on tangible experience. Students can now register on our website. Classes are now starting in January.
The biggest thing I learned from the situation is that, my actions don't just affect me, it affect everybody I'm around. So, and then also, think before you act. I feel like as a young African-American men, especially in the DMV, we more so act instead of think, you know what I'm saying? Somebody make you feel some type of way or do something disrespectful to you, you kind of like just jump and you just act. You don't really think about what can happen or, you don't think about how this will affect this person, and everybody as a whole. So, I learned from that, and, that's kind of how I move in life now. I kind of like really think about everything before I do it.
So then after college, I remember, we was like, that's when we like really started talking. It was like, yo, like, you gonna have pro dreams, and, it just wasn't working. Like the contracts, the opportunities were just like somewhere there, and they weren't that great. Like
Actually,
talking about.
When I was talking to you, that's when I remember we had our talk, and then you got your offer. Yeah. They reached out to you, and that's when you became pro. It was ironic. I remember talking to you on the phone and all that stuff. We was at who cookout? I think Jalen's.
Yeah.
It was at Jalen's cookout. We was having a conversation. So. Think about with me, I transferred and went to Towson, to, like I said, still kind of be like that hometown hero. Transferred to Towson, I had to sit out a year. It was so depressing for me, man, definitely depressing. And I had to train myself. I had to have the discipline, and literally, I trained myself in the off season. I was blessed to come across a mentor named Troy Jones. He's like, he's like the head trainer of Fit Speed in Miami right now. But he told me a lot, through that off time. And then when I got to Towson, I wasn't on a scholarship. I wasn't on a scholarship anymore, and it kind of like, they like, yeah, you got to prove to us that you deserve a scholarship. So I was hot, you come to a Division I school, you ain't gonna give me a scholarship, you know what I'm saying? So, I did everything in my power to get a scholarship. Long story short, ended up getting a scholarship, and a lot of injuries again happened, man. I went from the starter of the defense, basically playing like every position again. And I ended up catching mono right before the season. I wasn't kissing no girls. I don't know what happened. They say it's a kissing disease. But I ended up catching mono. I lost like 20 pounds. I feel like I almost died. It was like one of the worst experiences ever. It was definitely traumatizing. I didn't even get cleared to play right before the season. And then literally my first game coming back, I didn't even train the whole season. They just say, Nico, you clear to play. And I'm playing against ECU, and I had a pretty decent game. And, everybody like, oh, you did great. I'm like, dude, I'm not even in shape. I couldn't even breathe. And then, I end up, at the end of the season, I ended up playing literally 5 games. And I got injured, broke my opposite shoulder. So it was like a lot of stuff. I remember when I was talking to you, about chasing this dream because, after I broke my shoulder, man, I was so depressed, man. I'm like, dang, I came this far, now it's another situation. But you gotta look in the mirror as a man, like, what you gonna do? Like, okay, stuff keep happening to you, but are you gonna fold or are you gonna stand tall and pursue your dreams relentlessly? So I was like, all right, fuck it, excuse my French. And I just, started training, trying to get healthy. They said I had like 5 months of pro day, to get right. Right before pro day, I got a very serious car accident that, totaled my car. It was a guy that was, you know, drink driving. And, you know, he totaled my car. And it was just like so many different things, man. I just feel like I couldn't catch a break.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that shoulder I dealt with and the hamstring problems, all that stuff, it added more to the situation. I got pro day like 2-3 weeks from now, and I just get in a serious car accident, totaled my car. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have nobody to take me anywhere because I didn't have rental insurance. It was just so much stress, man. And then when pro day came, you know, I had the worst, like I blew it. I had the worst time. I pulled my hamstring on pro day and ran the worst time possible. You know, and pro day is like that's your big day. You know, that's your big interview. You know what I'm saying? This day can change the dynamics of your whole family and, you know, bring you towards your dreams. And, you know, it didn't happen like that for me, and I was depressed. And like you said, you gotta look in the mirror again and say, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit here and fold, or I'm gonna keep, you know, dream chasing. So eventually what I did was, you know, got back up on my feet. You know, I hit my age. I'm like, what's all the opposite, you know, other alternatives? He's like, dude, you can go to CFL workout. So then I became a trainer. It wasn't my intention to become a trainer. It was just like, you know, I feel like it was just a lifestyle, you know, and a dream I was chasing that being a trainer just manifested on me, you know. I ended up working at a gym in Tyson's, Virginia. Well, yeah, Tyson's, Virginia, called Tyson's Playground, and I was working for a company called Perks Performance. So there I was just training nothing but athletes, and I got to, you know, get free therapy, and, you know, I get to have a facility. So I was just working out all day, and then I would, in the midst of being a trainer, trying to perfect my craft as a trainer, I wasn't really thinking like, you know, Nico Law's gonna be this top trainer. It was just, I was just doing something I love, and I became so obsessed with how to get better and better at coaching kids or at coaching athletes and help them to get to where they need to be, because I didn't want them to feel the same or have the same troubles I did throughout my career. So in doing that, I was still chasing my dreams to go to CFL because training was putting that bread in my pocket. And I started going on CFL camp tours. So I started going to like one camp by the next camp by the next camp. And I never forget, I went to a camp out in North Carolina with one of my close friends. His name is Jamison Williamson. He's a trainer out of Baltimore, ironically. Me and James went to camp, and literally like we destroyed it. Like I got healthy, got my body healthy, did a lot of treatment on my shoulders, and got my hamstring right. And at the time I was like 220. I was big as hell, and I ran a 4.53. And literally when I ran that 4.53, they like, dude, you not in the NFL? And I'm like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, supposed to be.
I know.
And right there, they told me they would give me, you know, a shot. In my head, you know, especially going through the process, a lot of teams tell you whatever. You may hear from one team over here, they be, oh yeah, we want you in Canton, we want. But if they don't, you probably won't hear from them. So time went on. Man, I never forget, I was leaving from a tryout in Texas with a team in Texas. And, you know, I was getting on a plane. It was a call from an Arizona number. And matter of fact, at the time, the Cardinals was recruiting me. And, you know, I was talking to them. So I'm like, the Cardinals is about to bring me on board. So I'm like so geeked. Like, I'm like, thank God. And I was like, hello. And they was like, hey, is this Nico Law? My heart started racing. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, this is Nico Law. And they was like, hey, well, this is such and such from the Alouettes. How would you like to be a part of our family? I'm like, what? The Alouettes? He's like, yeah, Montreal Alouettes. I never forget, I just started breaking down, man, because like I said, like, you go through so many trials and tribulations. You know, people just see the stats. People don't see you know, the behind the scenes. People don't see the process. People don't see the, you know, the mental toll, you know, it is as an athlete, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not, everything is dictated by a person. You know, you piss this person off, you know, it may dictate where you stand on that depth chart, you know what I'm saying? So like.
So what piece of advice, last question, what piece of advice would you give someone, you know, who was in your shoes, you know, kind of, you know, had these ups and downs and they're trying to, you know, like figure out life? you know, or just like find their passion, like how you found your passion with training people and you became addicted to it, you know? So what would you tell that person?
So if I was to talk to somebody that was young or talk to a person in general, just be fearless. Everybody try to put you in a box. That's one of the reasons why I moved from the East Coast, because people used to be like, what are you? I'm like, I'm an artist. They're like, what you mean? I'm like, bro, like I throw parties, you know, I train people, you know. Coming out of high school, I was always an artsy guy. Like, I mean, you see me, like, I took photography classes. I was the guy in class drawing, you know, painting pictures or drawing pictures, you know what I'm saying, a poet. Like, that's the stuff that stimulates my brain. And I feel like in life, you are an artist. Whatever you love doing, you're gonna be great at it. So me, you know, I tend to like pay my bills and only really do the things I love to do. So I came out LA to really to be in entertainment. And I didn't know how big the fitness industry was in LA. In the East Coast, nobody really cared about being fit. So it was kind of hard for me back home because, you know, every pro athlete that knew me, or, you know, regardless, baseball, Major League Baseball or NBA, or whatever, it was more so like, oh yeah, that's my homie. You know, people not really thinking about paying you. They just feel as though like, by me just being with you, that's good enough. Yeah. Like, you my dog, you know what I'm saying? Work me out, you know what I'm saying? Right. But you like, dude, I gotta get my bills paid. Right. So when I was out here, man, I kind of jumped, you know, to be in a creative line with, you know, multiple, you know, people out here. Most people in LA are like serial entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. They had like 5, 6 different businesses that's running, functional, you know, and people not putting them in a box. You know what I'm saying? So when I came out here, I was like, oh, this is my vibe. And then I just literally, you know, it got to the point where I was chasing the acting stuff. I'm going to audition after audition and becoming broker and broker. Because I didn't understand, even with, you know, acting, man, it'd be 1,000 people, like, trying to act. Like, everybody in LA is an actor, a model, and stuff like that. So I was like, dang, you know, I'm going to pay these bills. And then started training people. And, you know, I started hearing, like, you know, how different the market was. I'm like, whoa, that's how they doing it? Like, everybody needs a trainer? Oh, this is awesome. So really, like, I wake up every day and I'm happy. Like, it's like the most happiest I've been in my life, because regardless if I was training people as a business, I would be still doing going on my own. So I heard one thing, I forgot the saying, it's like, do something that you would do for free and you'll never work. So, yeah, you'll never work a day of your life. So I train people. It don't feel like a job to me. I feed the homeless. You know, I do a lot of stuff for the community. You know, I'm involved with a lot of nonprofits because that's on my heart. You know what I'm saying? I love genuinely doing it. You know, I act out here. You know, I do a lot of, you know, commercials and you know, stuff of that sort. But, you know, I was in a lot of, you know, I took acting classes in college. You know what I'm saying? I was involved with a lot of stuff. So I never really feel like I'm working. Like. And then people, you know, they congratulate you. Oh, you're doing great, you're doing great. You just love what you're doing.
Yeah. All right, well, you know, thank you for sharing your story.
Appreciate it.
Like, that was real. I'm sure a lot of people can learn from you, and, you know, you're an inspiration. Even though, you know, you feel as an athlete, like, oh, I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah, you never feel content. You just, you know, you like, I could do more. Right. Like, I can always do more.
Right, but you know, man, you're doing a lot. And,
I appreciate it.
You know, thanks again for coming on the show, and that's a wrap here with Nico Law.
We out here. Stay tuned. Talks with Tay, baby.